In it, you can feel panic without danger, grief without loss, desire without consequence. You might wake sweating from a chase that never happened, or be comforted by a conversation that could only exist at night. And even if you forget the plot by breakfast, the emotional residue can linger like a mood you didn't choose. In this blink, you'll learn what dreams are made from and why feeling steers what you experience. You'll also see when nightmares cross into a real disorder, and how tools like rescripting, lucidity, and dream engineering can reduce distress and put sleep to work for healing and creativity. Let's start by looking at the raw ingredients dreams pull from and the patterns that shape what you experience at night. Dreams are built from memory, social life, and sensation. Ever wonder why a dream can feel instantly believable, even when it makes no sense in daylight? That realism comes from the ingredients the mind uses. Dreams usually start with ordinary material, familiar faces, known places, and the concerns you've been turning over while awake. But the sleeping mind isn't a replay machine. Even when something happened just hours earlier, dreams tend to lift bits and pieces and recombine them with older memories, producing a new scenario that still feels like it belongs to you. If you look at people's reports of their dreams, a few regularities keep showing up. One of the strongest is social content. In dreams at home, social situations appear in more than 80% of reports, with friends and family making up a large share of the cast. Even near strangers can become central characters if they mattered to you on a particular day. Put someone in a sleep laboratory, and this tendency becomes obvious. Research personnel, who the subjects have only just met, appear in over half of lab-related dreams, often in scenes where the dreamer is being watched, evaluated, or trying to do the study correctly. Dreaming is also embodied. The body keeps sending signals, and the dream mind tries to explain them. Teeth falling out dreams, experienced by roughly 40% of people, have been linked with dental irritation in the morning, suggesting that clenching or grinding can become dream content. REM sleep, the stage marked by rapid eye movements and especially vivid dreaming, also changes what your body can do. Your muscles are naturally inhibited, and that can show up in dreams as movement that feels slowed, restricted, or strangely weightless. Even when you sleep at home, the outside world is not fully shut off. There are filters that reduce familiar background noise, yet they are incomplete, leaving gaps where sensations slip through. Researchers can probe those gaps by presenting mild stimulation during sleep and then collecting dream reports. Inflate a pressure cuff on someone's leg during REM, and one dreamer may experience it as a direct squeeze, while another turns it into difficulty kicking while swimming, or a scene involving an animal with a trapped leg. Beeping sounds and flashing lights can appear as sounds and sights, or they can be converted into sudden movement, like a clatter becoming an abrupt somersault. The stimulus is real, but the story it becomes depends on the dreamer's own associations and concerns. Once you see that dreams follow rules, the next question is why your mind bothers to experience them so vividly at all, and why feeling seems to be the force that steers the whole thing. Let's look at that in the next chapter. Feeling gives dreams their purpose and direction. If sleep were only a maintenance mode, your brain could sort memories and calm emotions without giving you a single scene to live through. Yet, you keep having experience at night, and experience arrives with feeling. Feeling is what turns raw perception into something personal. You don't only register light, sound, shape, and motion, you register what it means for you. Two simple properties do a lot of work here. Salience is what stands out as important, and valence is whether it feels good or bad. Together, they bias attention and create an impulse, the inner nudge that shapes how you respond. In waking life, that guidance is always running. Bodily needs like hunger, thirst, fatigue, and pain rise and fall. Background cues like temperature and movement keep updating. Social and emotional concerns hover, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. Feeling filters this mess into something navigable, spotlighting what matters to your goals and your sense of safety. When you fall asleep, the outside world stops anchoring you, but that inner guidance doesn't shut off. You still sense the body and its needs. You still carry current concerns. You still have access to memory, and with fewer external constraints, the mind can roam more freely through associations. A felt tone can pull related material together, so dreams often assemble images that match what you're feeling, even when the scene looks strange on the surface. State can also unlock memory. In a classic study with scuba divers, information learned underwater was recalled better when divers returned underwater, and even when they vividly imagined being back there. Bedtime has its own state cues too, which helps explain why the sensations of lying down can suddenly bring back a dream you couldn't retrieve earlier. Recognition in dreams follow the same logic. Someone can appear altered and still be known instantly because a feeling of knowing tags identity and meaning. There's a practical consequence to this. In dreams, you participate. Even without lucidity, you react, choose, hesitate, engage, avoid, and sometimes repeat a scenario when a need hasn't been resolved. Those reactions matter because reactivating experience can make memory more open to revision. Where you place attention, what you do, and what you feel can influence which memories stay active, what they link to, and how strongly emotion remains attached to them. And even if you forget most dreams by morning, the effects can still accumulate implicitly over time, shaping your thoughts and actions. Once you see dreaming as feeling guided and active, the next question is what happens when the emotional volume climbs too high? In the next section, let's look at how that shift can tip the night into nightmares and start affecting the day. Nightmares become a disorder when distress hijacks sleep and day. Most of us can brush off an occasional nightmare as a bad moment in the night. The line is crossed when the dream is no longer the main problem, but what it does to your waking life. Clinically, nightmare disorder is defined as having at least one nightmare a week that seriously interferes with quality of life. And these episodes tend to show up in the later part of the night, often around morning REM sleep, with the story sharply remembered when you wake. Only a minority meet that threshold, roughly 4 to 6% of people, but for them, the impact is outsized. While the frequency is a problem, the core issue is the spillover. Two people can have the same kind of frightening dream and wake up into completely different days. One shrugs it off, another keeps replaying it at breakfast, at work, on the commute home, feeling tense and on guard as if the threat leaked through the walls of sleep. Distress can show up as intense emotion on waking, repetitive thoughts, difficulty coping, and a sense that well-being is being chipped away. It can also land in very practical places, like struggling to concentrate, withdrawing socially, or watching work and relationships fray. In extreme cases, the fallout can be life-shrinking, with near-nightly nightmares contributing to leaving school and barely stepping outside. Here's where things get complicated. The most common coping response is avoidance. People try to push the nightmare out of mind, distract themselves, and sometimes refuse to go back to sleep to prevent a sequel. That can feel sensible at 3 a.m., but it feeds a spiral. Less sleep and more dread raise daytime stress, and higher stress makes the next night more vulnerable, which tightens the loop. Certain traits make this loop easier to fall into. Nightmares are more common in younger adults and in women, in part because dream recall is generally higher and they become less frequent after about 40, possibly alongside changes in sleep structure. Emotional reactivity matters too. Neuroticism is linked with treating everyday events as more threatening, which can amplify both nightmares and the distress they cause. Hyperarousal adds a body that is already revved up, so stress and dreams take a bigger toll. These traits can be combined under a broader profile called nightmare proneness. On the bright side, nightmare-prone people often have a brighter inner life overall. The same sensitivity that amplifies fear at night can also amplify positive experience, making dreams more vivid, emotional, and memorable in both directions, and leaving some people more moved by beauty, connection, and creativity when they wake. Now let's take that sensitivity as something you can work with, and look at ways to interrupt the nightmare loop and give the night a different ending. A nightmare loses power when you practice